Hi, it's Kathy Donnell Vitzak again, and in this video we're going to talk about how to select a card. Now we can make this just as easy as you want it to be, or you can have a little bit more fun with it and go a little bit deeper. Obviously, the easiest way is to take the cards and shuffle them and pull the card off the top. There you have it. Throw it down, we've got our 12 o'clock position, and there is your answer. If you want to go a little bit more, the next step in the simple shuffle method would be, of course, to make stacks and then go from the middle of one of the stacks of cutting the cards. You can also go back to a simple shuffle. And of course, with round cards, you're probably not going to be able to do any fancy Vegas style shuffling, but if you're able to, please send me a video of it. I'd love to see it because the most I can do is kind of mash them together. So you also can pick a card from the top, a card from the middle, or the card off the bottom. And there's our Viking again. And this is a real easy way to select your cards. Another easy way, and kind of a fun way, is to just take the cards, stop, drop, and swirl, and you just kind of do like you did as a kid, finger painting. Move the cards around, kind of get them out to where they're just one level deep. And then now there's a couple of different ways that we can then select the right card. You can either just pick one, like, you know what, this one is calling to me. We got Ancient Greece. Or you can just move your hands over your cards. And for those of you that are Reiki masters, you'll be familiar with the sensation of tingling. Some people have tingling, some people have a pulsation, some people feel heat. Whatever works for you, you may move your hands over the cards until you feel one, zero in on a particular area, and then you feel a card and say, that's the one. There we go. Now another method that you could use is to use a pendulum. I like to hold my pendulum very loosely with my ring finger because then that way my mind doesn't kick into gear and make the pendulum swing over the way that I want it to. So you could just very slowly go over each card, and if you're familiar with working with the pendulum, you can just ask, as we began, we can just ask that our yes, whatever yes is for you, show up when the pendulum gets over the card that wants to be seen. And sometimes you can take a little time with this and just let the pendulum move. I'm getting a pretty good yes with that one. And let the pendulum give us our yes, and that is the British Isles during the prehistoric times. And so that's another way of using the pendulum. Let's see, another way that you can select a card, and this is more for like a meditation, would be literally to go through the cards and look at every single one of them. And then I like to do that and pull them out and have a stack of the ones that I just get an immediate visceral response to. And you know what? Sometimes that's not necessarily, oh my goodness, I love that card. Sometimes it's like, oh, I hate that. I hated that era. I don't have any affinity for that era. None, 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 none. And sometimes when the response is that big, that's just as important or maybe even more important than some of the positive responses. For instance, now I loved the Tudors TV show, but I've not really had a huge resonance with that era. It just kind of, one of those, it's interesting to me, but not just grabs me like crazy. Let's see, I can just flip through a couple more. I guess I probably don't need to sit here and be looking for the exact cards that are really screaming to me. But let's just start with these three and we'll get an idea. For instance, I pulled Australia, prehistory to 1650. That time's always fascinated me. Not that it's overly emotional one way or the other, but I'm really interested in it, especially the Aboriginal people's dreams time work. So anyway, I pulled that one out. British Isles, prehistory to 350 BC. That's the Stonehenge era, and that era really has always fascinated me. My husband and I have watched that movie Arthur. I'm ashamed to say how many times, King Arthur, the new one with Clive Owen. If you hadn't seen it, go rent it, watch it. It's great. And anyway, that era has always just fascinated me. Later Atlantis, 25,000 to 12,000 BC. Once again, that is a time frame that's always called out to me. So anyway, that will give you an idea of how you could select the cards by just literally looking at them. And then there's a lot of different things you can do once you've selected the cards. Well, we'll go into that in a later video, so erase that part. But anyway, so that hopefully this gives you a really good idea on how you can work with the cards and select the cards. I do want to show you one more time the easiest method that I think. We'll get into intention in another video. I do always ground myself and set my intention for whatever past life work I am working on within that reading, and I ask that the best card that for me at this particular time, or the other person if I'm reading for someone else, I always ask that the very best card come through at that time. And I have variations of the intentions that we're going to cover in other videos and within both of the guidebooks. Oh, one other thing that I just thought about. If you have a card that you're shuffling and all of a sudden a card falls out, that card really wants to be seen. So put everything aside and work with that card that pops out there for a minute and make sure you get the full message from that. If 57 cards fall out, that means you drop the deck and you just kind of need to pick them up and start all over. So with that note, thank you for watching the video about how to select a card, and stay tuned.